Sure. Musical chairs?
Musical chairs, absolutely. If I can find all my notes. Thanks. So I'm over here on the side because I'm speaking simply as a citizen, not as a selectman, and I'll only be a few moments. There's been a considerable amount of energy directed against Paul Feeney, casting him in a very negative light. These efforts speak volumes about those who cast them and nothing about Paul. Paul Feeney is my friend. In the 2 years I've known Paul, I've observed him to be, and I want you to know that he is, honest, fair, and dedicated to doing what's best for Foxborough. As an aside, he's also one of the brightest persons I've ever known. Voters will decide next Monday who comes to this table as your newest selectman. I'm not here to advocate for one candidate over another. However, my friend has been unfairly maligned, and I feel duty-bound to set the record straight. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think that while I respect my patriot's view, I think this was an inappropriate place to do that. We don't use the selectmen's meeting to endorse or support or not support a candidate. And I would appreciate it if we would keep political, we have an election coming up, and if we would keep the political rhetoric down for the rest of the evening.
I respect that. And, what I would normally do is to say if somebody's going to do that and it involves me as a candidate, I would step back and get a chairmanship over to somebody else. My struggle with that is that there's also a candidate in this year's race, and then the next in line of leadership, and Mr. Mortenson wanted to make the statement. But that's duly noted, and I respect that, and I respect the comments of the board members.
Yeah, and I would just say, fair point for you to raise, Larry. I'm not endorsing any candidate or advocating for anyone in particular. It's a friend, it's been maligned. I sit to the right of him every other week, and I have a keen insight into his character, and I feel that it's fair to share that with people in this meeting. So, you know, objection noted, and
Yeah, let it to the end, might have been more appropriate.
Well, still on citizens input, Mr. Brown.
I'd like equal time for Mr. DeVellis and the other candidates.
Yeah.
David Brown, 17 American Way, by the way.
Yeah, and an objection by Mr. Harrington was noted, and I think should be respected. That the
so you won't, excuse me, sir.
Say, just raise your hand and come on up, and I'll recognize you.
I thought I was being recognized. Am I recognized at this point?
You're also being interrupted by someone on the side, so I want to make sure that you're giving time to speak.
You know, I feel that this is inappropriate, the statement that's just been made by Mr. Mortenson. We are in a campaign season. People have opposing views and opinions, and I don't know that anything particular has been addressed to you by candidate DeVellis, quite frankly.
So
I don't know why. I guess to be honest with you, I think I've probably said enough other than to say I object to this. I object to Mr. Mortenson doing this.
While the statement was being made, any member, of course, has the right and opportunity to object and to ask for a ruling, whether or not it was in order. That wasn't done. In that case, I would have done exactly what I said I would have done, which is to turn it over to the next person in line and through the succession to make that decision because my name was mentioned, I was involved.
So, you know what, sir, I'm not objecting to you, Mr. Feeney.
No,
I'm objecting to the fact that the campaign has been brought to the board and put on board with the Board of Selectmen. I think that is absolutely inappropriate by Mr. Mortenson or any member of this board.
Mr. Harrington noted that, and that's on the record of the minutes. Unfortunately, the statement was made, and nobody objected to it at the time, so we'll move on. Any other citizens input?
Theresa Payne, 6 Joseph Road, I concur. Absolutely, positively inappropriate. Inappropriate. I couldn't agree more. Shame. Shame on you.
Thank you. Anybody else with citizens input that hasn't been heard? Anybody else going once, twice, as always?
I'd just like to say that I take the issue of the potential ethics violation related to the town's Facebook page for the recreation
Hold
park.
on, I object to this as well.
This is-
I object to this. The website is a town employee issue. The town manager is responsible for all the employees in town, not the Board of Selectmen. And if there is an issue that either you want to bring up in executive session, as was potentially alleged tonight, an employee issue the employee has to be notified, the employee has to be given an
I'm not speaking about an
opportunity.
employee here, I'm speaking about the issue.
We don't have the fact, let's not make this a political issue tonight. We have an election coming up. Good luck to the 4 people that are
Point of
running.
order, sir.
Let's not make it a campaign station tonight.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. Who has the floor?
Mr. Harrington raised an objection during Ms. Brue's reading. The question, or the point that Mr. Harrington made was that it's political in nature. I think
That's correct.
And I'd ask Lorraine, is that, where are you heading here without giving me too much information here? Is this something that should be discussed under executive session or something we can discuss?
No, I don't think it's executive session. I want to discuss other matters in executive session.
Employee matters. What would be the purpose of bringing it up under citizens input?
Because I want the viewers to know that the Board of Selectmen take ethics violations seriously, and that, this is under investigation. The investigation is continuing, and, I think when there are concerns about ethics violations, there are tough questions that have to be asked, and they have to be answered. And, unfortunately, I think there have been certain obstacles to this investigation. So I want the town to know that we are continuing this investigation. I believe it's our duty to fully investigate it so that we can prevent this from happening again.
Wait a minute, I
And it's
object.
my hope that we will learn from this unfortunate event and not have it happen again.
The town manager, if an employee was involved in a website issue, it is a town manager issue, not a Board of Selectmen issue. I have talked to the town manager just before he left this evening. He is doing an investigation, he's doing everything that is appropriate. There is no need of having a discussion today, it is inappropriate. Allow the town manager the courtesy of doing the investigation that he feels is necessary to do. Let him report back to the Board of Selectmen, and if a board member wants to comment on that, they can. But please allow the investigation to proceed untethered by the Board of Selectmen. The town manager is a strong town manager. He's conducting the investigation. Let's leave it at that.
Okay, I think both are valid points. I think, Larry, you're right in that. Is there something that needs to be said? Because I'm hearing a lot of comments. I just ask you if you want to raise your hand, just come forward. No, I will recognize you. We've never not recognized anybody. They're both valid points, and I think we should have a discussion if a member of the board wants to have it. I don't agree that we should have it in citizens' input, that if this is brought up as a precursor to executive session discussion, then that would be the appropriate time. And because that would give at least the board members an opportunity to decide whether or not it's something that we should discuss in executive session, something that should be discussed in open session. So I don't think citizens' input is that time, but I do think when we bring it up at the end to go into executive session, that we discuss it. Does that make sense, Larry?
That's fine.
Okay. All right, citizens' input, moving on. Anybody that hasn't been heard first, can you keep it short there? We got a real long
I have
agenda.
one question, I'm gonna bring it up.
Objection, then I just
I'm gonna
want-
bring it up because what was said. I would like to know why selectmen have been calling me, asking me questions about the campaign. And that would be Ms. Brue, who called me last Friday and wanted to know about this Facebook business. Why is she investigating it? Why isn't the town manager investigating it? And we had that call. And you know what I said to you when you asked me that question.
Absolutely.
Why on earth would I want to answer any question from somebody that's actively campaigning for 2 other candidates?
All right, well, so these, obviously, this will devolve if you continue.
I think this is muddy water and you ought to deal with it next week.
And we've asked you you've been recognized twice, and you've noted your objections. There's people in the audience that want to speak that don't want to raise their hand. We're going to move on from citizens input unless anybody else has anything they need to say. All right? There's no more, this meeting's not going to devolve. We got an extensive agenda. It's one of the busiest agendas we've had all year. There's all sorts of public hearings, and that's it. Okay, moving on to our first appointment. We have Superintendent Louis Lopes, and I believe Mr. Ayagato is going to come forward to discuss the budget for Southeastern Regional Board. Oh, I am.
We picked the wrong night to Or maybe the right one.
No, I'm sweet.